Welcome back to Reds Fusion LFC, your home for all the latest Liverpool buzz. Today we've got a massive update. Marc Guehi finally breaks silence on his failed Anfield move. Alexander Isak and Hugo Ekitike are in the spotlight after Liverpool's record 125mm swoop. Arne Slot makes a bold promise you'll want to hear. And fans can't stop talking about Federico Chiesa's fiery moment after that so-called argument. Stay tuned, Reds. This one's packed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated with every twist and turn in the transfer window. Marc Guehi directly addresses supporters after failed. Liverpool move? I wanted to. Marc Guehi has directly addressed Crystal Palace supporters after seeing his deadline day transfer to Liverpool collapse at the 11th. Our Marc Guehi has made his commitment to Crystal Palace clear after seeing a dream move to Liverpool collapse on transfer deadline day. The Reds agreed a 35 million deal for the center-back, who started to undergo a medical, only for the Eagles to pull the plug at the 11th hour after failing to sign a replacement. Liverpool remain interested in signing Guehi, who is out of contract at Selhurst Park next summer, but they are at present unlikely to move for the center-back. In January, given he will be available on a free at the end of the season, the England international made his first appearance for Palace since his transfer collapse against Sunderland on Saturday, and he directly addressed supporters in his captain's column in the matchday program. After manager Oliver Glasner previously confirmed he would retain the armband, Guehi, perhaps unsurprisingly, did not acknowledge his failed move to Liverpool in his notes. But he took the time to thank Palace fans for their support as he shared his excitement to play alongside the club's new signings and compete in this season's Europa Conference League after coming through two difficult challenges away from home before the break. It's great to be back in South London this afternoon, he wrote. It's a new challenge getting used to playing on both a Thursday and Sunday throughout the season. But we are enjoying the experience. Having said that, it's never an easy task when both games are away from home in such a short space of time. It was amazing to see so many of you make the trip over to Norway for our second leg against Fredrikstad. We know that so many people have worked very hard to see us play in Europe and experience nights just like that. It was great to witness it in person. Obviously, the game itself was a tough challenge. They made things very difficult for us, and it wasn't easy to find a rhythm against them. But I thought we managed the game with real maturity. Even towards the end when things started getting a bit hectic, defensively the lads were excellent. Now we can look forward to the Conference League main tournament, with the league phase beginning next month. I'm looking forward to seeing more of you on those European away days, and hopefully we can bring our best on the pitch to match the occasions. To then go away to Aston Villa and produce the performance we did, I think speaks volumes about what this team is capable of. Villa are a good team, and before that game, had not lost in the league at home in over a year, so we knew we'd have to move on quickly from last season and be at our best. Once again, everyone raised their level and pulled out a top-level team display. The commitment and willingness to the defensive work helped us survive a tough period after halftime. Thankfully, we were then able to take our chances at the other end and, in the end, fully deserved the win. I hope Alexander Isak and Hugo Ekitike don't do what I did after signing for Liverpool. Former Liverpool club record signing Stan Collymore speaks to the Echo about Arne Slot's new strikers. For Liverpool supporters of a certain vintage, it was all about Roger Hunt and Ian St. John, then Kevin Keegan and John Toshak. Otherwise, we'll hark back to Ian Rush and Kenny Dalglish, or the trio of Peter Beardsley, John Barnes and John Aldridge. More recently, the triumvirate of Mohamed Salah, Roberto Firmino and Sadio Mane was celebrated before last season's title-winning regular threesome of Salah, Luis Diaz, and Cody Gakpo. Over the years, Liverpool have been blessed with fearsome attacking partnerships that have provided the firepower behind a host of honors. Now the Reds are looking for similar future rewards after the 79 million committed to take. Hugo Ekitike from Eintracht Frankfurt was followed by a British transfer record 125mm move for Newcastle. United striker Alexander Isak on deadline day. While Salah and Gakpo remain very much in the first team frame, increased rotation from Liverpool boss Arne Slot means Ekitike and Isak will be given chances to prosper in the same starting lineup And former Liverpool forward Stan Collymore has a piece of advice for the big-money forward duo. "I hope they don't look at each other as rivals," he says. Speaking to the Echo via newbettingoffers.co.uk. "When I came into a Liverpool team with Ian Rush and Robbie Fowler, I think myself and Robbie initially looked at each other as rivals. When over the 2 seasons we played together, we scored 105 between us and had 40-odd assists. We worked really well. Sometimes I'd drop off to the left and put in crosses or drop deeper. Maybe Ekitike and Isak will have to tailor their games to play alongside each other, but that's not a bad thing. Both players may have to learn new skill sets. I don't think it's going to be immediate as they have to understand how each other plays." Mo cuts in from the right. "Isak likes balls over the top or balls down the side. Ekitike can make lots of different runs and works hard. I'd be surprised if they have the Mane Firmino Salah dovetailing ever, to be honest." That was a unique trio that worked really well. And if the new attack gets up to 80% of that this season, then Liverpool will be happy. Welcome to the second edition of Blood Red, your new monthly publication from the Echo, covering everything you need to know about what's happening at Liverpool FC. This month, our focus is on Europe as Liverpool's Champions League campaign kicks off with the Reds looking to bring home European Cup number 7, as well as a pull-out fixtures guide to the group phase. We profile every other club in the competition. Our writers cover Arne Slot's side all season long, home, away, and abroad, 7 days a week. And this special second edition of Blood Red is full of their in-depth features, analysis, and comment. Konate move could be brought forward to January. Konate future linked to Real Madrid. Amid Rudiger injury concern speculation surrounding Ibrahima, Konate's long-term future has never strayed far from the transfer agenda. While talk cooled slightly after the summer window closed, the Liverpool defender remains a figure of interest for Real Madrid, particularly given the uncertainty around Antonio Rudiger's fitness. Madrid's strategy of targeting free agents. Madrid's recruitment model in recent years has often hinged on securing elite players without transfer fees. David Alaba, Rudiger, and Kylian Mbappe were all acquired at no cost, strengthening an already formidable squad while keeping resources intact for other signings. Konate's situation falls neatly into that category. The 25-year-old Frenchman who joined Liverpool in 2020 has yet to commit to fresh terms at Anfield. His contract edges closer to expiry, and should he choose not to extend, he would be free to negotiate a move abroad next summer. For Liverpool, that presents an uncomfortable dilemma. They are dealing with a player regarded as a central part of their defensive structure, while also knowing Real Madrid's track record of striking when contracts run down. Rudiger injury reshapes Madrid's priorities. Rudiger's recent setback has sharpened the focus on defensive reinforcements. The German center-back sustained an anterior rectus injury in his left leg and is unlikely to feature until December. With Rudiger turning 33 in March, questions naturally arise over how Madrid plan to secure the long-term stability of their back line. Konate has been touted as an ideal candidate to step into that role. Younger, quicker, and already seasoned in Champions League football, he embodies many of the traits Madrid value when refreshing their squad. Madrid have shown a pattern of moving decisively in similar scenarios. When Dani Carvajal was sidelined for an extended period last year, their pursuit of reinforcements accelerated. An informal inquiry was lodged during the winter, but the deal materialized months later. A comparable approach towards Konate cannot be dismissed. Liverpool's stance on mid-season exits, despite Madrid's potential interest, Liverpool remain reluctant sellers. Releasing a core defender mid-season would be unthinkable without securing a replacement. Yet the market for central defenders is expected to be active in January. Marc Guehi, also in the final stages of his Crystal Palace contract, has attracted attention from top clubs and could spark movement among elite European sides. Liverpool's challenge is not simply retaining Konate, but managing the broader implications of his contract status. A sale in summer 2025 would be preferable to losing him for free, but persuading him to renew remains the priority. Real Madrid, however, have positioned themselves to capitalize if talks stall. Outlook for 2025 and beyond, as the calendar edges towards the winter window, Madrid's monitoring of Konate is unlikely to diminish. Whether Rudiger returns strongly or not, the Spanish giants are preparing for succession planning in central defense. Konate, out of contract and entering his prime years, represents a compelling option. Arne Slot makes Liverpool promise after 125 hours. Alexander Isak transfer. Write this down for every agent. Arne Slot speaks in detail about 125-meter striker. Alexander Isak, ahead of his potential Liverpool debut at Burnley this weekend, Arne Slot has dismissed concerns of Alexander Isak one day going on strike at Liverpool. The Reds boss has insisted the club has always helped facilitate moves for those who want to leave Anfield. And Slot, who could hand the 125-meter striker his debut at Burnley on Sunday, has outlined what made Liverpool make the Sweden international. The most expensive footballer in British history from Newcastle United on transfer. Deadline day. A summer-long saga saw Isak first refuse to fly out on Newcastle's tour of the Far East by citing a minor injury in July before he returned to training by using the facilities of former club Real Sociedad. Without the knowledge of Magpies chiefs, the 25-year-old was subsequently banished from the squad by former boss Eddie Howe before an explosive statement that spoke of broken promises and lost trust was published on Isak's social media accounts, just moments after he was included in the PFA's Team of the Year at an event he didn't attend at Manchester Opera House on August 19th. The two clubs eventually agreed an eye-watering fee of 125 meters on August 31st, and the attacker completed his medical the following day before flying out on international duty, where he made his first appearance since May in Sweden's 2-0 defeat to Kosovo on Monday evening. Asked if he feared similarly controversial efforts from Isak to leave Liverpool, who he joined on a 6-year deal on September 1st, Slot said, "No, not at all. It is not necessary at our club because we also trade players. If a player wants to leave and we get the right money for him, then this club has shown for so many years now that we then do sell. At this club, it is not necessary at all to go on strike. I think it will have the opposite effect. You can keep on training here, and Harvey Elliott gets his transfer to Aston Villa. Tyler Morton gets his transfer to Lyon. There were maybe 8, 9, 10 players in the last window who just conducted themselves in the best possible way, and we are a club that is trading, so maybe write this down for every agent that has a player. Here, it is not necessary. If the right price is paid by the right club for the right player, then this club has shown we always do sell because we need this to get our players in. That is different. That is a very positive thing at this club. You get your transfer if everyone is happy. Isak is not expected to start when the champions are entertained by Burnley on Sunday afternoon, having played just 18 minutes since May. But Slot expects the new number 9 to show why he is recognized as one of the best front men around when fully fit. At this moment in time, he isn't the best striker in the world, for the simple reason he has been out for 4 months, the Reds boss added. If you write I said he is not the best in the world, you have to add that bit, or it is not completely fair because he is one of the best in the world. But for him to become the best in the world, I think the best players in the world win trophies, and that is what he and we need to do for him. Or someone else. To be seen as the best or one of the best. I think there are many reasons why we signed him, but one that maybe stands out for me is that he has already shown this in the Premier League, and I think he is the only exception we made in terms of signing. He is a little bit older than the rest, still quite young but a bit older, and showed himself in the Premier League. We know that if he stays fit, he will be able to score goals for us. What he adds as well is enormous pace, and he can score with both feet, with his head, all these kinds of things. That he has already done this in the Premier League is, of course, something extra. It might put pressure on him and me, but nothing extra. But if have this Liverpool badge on your shirt, there is always pressure. If we wouldn't have signed him, you would probably have told me that you still expect us to compete for the league, which is what we expect from ourselves, so this pressure is always there. Liverpool fans notice Federico Chiesa's behavior that sums him up after Arne Slot argument. Federico Chiesa was left out of Liverpool's Champions League squad, but the Italian forward still showed his professionalism in training ahead of their trip to Burnley. Federico Chiesa showed his professionalism in training despite being omitted from Liverpool's Champions League squad, the 27-year-old has endured a peripheral role at the Premier League club following his arrival last summer, managing only 17 outings since his switch from Juventus. Regardless of limited game time, the Italian remains a favorite amongst the Anfield faithful and savored his standout moment in a Liverpool shirt during the seasonal opener, netting a decisive goal in the Reds' 4-2 win over Bournemouth. While he has appeared in every league fixture this season so far, Chiesa will be unable to experience the European spectacle at Anfield as an active participant after being excluded from the 23-man squad for the league phase. It comes as a crushing disappointment for a player who appeared to have found his feet after last season's struggles, with Arne Slot choosing to include 17-year-old Rion Gumoha instead. Having made 16 Champions League appearances throughout his career, including 3 with Liverpool, Chiesa would be justified in feeling hard done by, yet this hasn't prevented him from maintaining his commitment to being ready when called upon, according to Slot. Ahead of their journey to Burnley on Sunday, the Liverpool manager acknowledged the difficulty of excluding Chiesa whilst praising the forward's mentality. He said, "Of course, that is one of the most difficult things you have to do as a manager. For a player not to play, it is not always easy to tell them, but not to be in the squad is always more difficult. I just explained to him why we made this choice. Of course, he wasn't happy with that. I think he understood my arguments. That is not to say he agreed with them. He didn't tell me, by the way, that he didn't agree with them. But he gave me the answer you want to hear from a player, that he will be there to help the team in the cups and in the league. That's one thing to say, but I think he also showed this because he wasn't selected, but he worked really hard these days to be ready for the upcoming days. That is even more important than what a player tells you." Supporters praised his professional approach in the comments, with one fan writing, "I just love Chiesa's attitude and his work rate." Of course, while another said, "Chiesa, I've got a soft spot for that guy. I love his attitude." A third supporter described the Italian as a perfect example, adding, "I hope that Chiesa gets more game time than he did last season. His attitude and passion and love for being a Liverpool player is outstanding. He is a perfect example of what every club needs."